So my son asked me to talk about this. Having favorites, parents having favorites amongst their children. It happens. Parents don't admit it, but it does happen. Some parents do have favorites, and sometimes it happens unknowingly, and sometimes I think out of choice, out of cultures, out of reason, out of many things. In Africa, for instance, in Africa, we name our children uh, our parents, our relatives, basically, and in some cases, the ones who are dead, the ones who are alive sometimes, depending with why you would want to name someone. And so in the case of a situation where there are siblings, for example, twins, both are girls. This is just an example of what happens, of what I've seen happening. So these are two girls, and from some communities, so you start naming your parents. So because they're two girls, you name, daddy names mom, mommy names their mom as well, so that it is equal. Okay, so with this kind of arrangement, what happens is that some children, one of these two girls will be given more attention, in the sense that they are more honored and more special than the other, for one reason or the other. Because as we all know, in many cases, sometimes the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships are never very rosy. And so you find that this girl who has been named after the mother-in-law, because dads most of the times they don't pay attention to some of these things, you understand? And so they don't pay attention, and when mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are fighting, of course, husbands are always involved, and to some extent, some men tend to agree with their wives, and not because they're biased, and not because they love their wives more than they love their moms, but because they want peace in their environment. And so you'll find that this girl, who is named after the grandmother on the woman's side, on the wife's side, gets more attention, gets more I'm avoiding to use love, because parents will always refuse that they are not loving another child from another one. And so you realize that this other girl, who is named after the wife's mother, gets more attention more than this other girl who is named after the husband's mom. Okay, and so that is where one of the instances where child favoritism comes in, and sometimes based on their performance at school, sometimes based on the skills that they have, sometimes based on the relationships that we tend to have with our children. And what parents do not know or understand is that when all this is going on, if you're not careful, you could be having 7 children, and not all of them are living in this house, and not all of them are experiencing the same. And in your mind, you may not even know that you're doing it, but they're seeing it, they're feeling it. And so as they grow up, as some of these things pile up, and you realize that some of the children grow up with traumas, some of them grow up in bitterness, and because they're seeing, you don't know, and they don't know how to tell you, because even if they did, you will not accept it, because your subconscious mind is acting what is inside of you. But you as a person, you want to refuse that. There's no way you can love your children differently. You will insist, and even, take a gun for it, that you love your children equally, but your subconscious mind is acting differently. And so, because sometimes you do it without knowing, effective communication helps, so that as they grow up, you avoid going on a journey and carrying some of your children and leaving others, going with some and not carrying others with you, molding others and breaking others in the process. And so it is very crucial that you always have individual communication with your children, and family communication, a forum where you come together, and each one of them and each one of you express your feelings and just talk how you feel and just share your views. Family day outs are very important. You get to go out in a park and you play together, you do games together. When people are free in an open place, sometimes it's easier. Then, because you organize for these events intentionally, you try and get games that will make people talk about their feelings without knowing that they're talking about them. But because you and your husband, or because you and your partner, you know what you're doing. Okay, so you go for these family fun days and outings with an intention to find out where your children are emotionally, and even as you're bringing them up. And so it is very, very important that we pay attention, so that we don't end up hurting them in the process of loving them, hurting them in the process of bringing them up, destroying them in the process of molding them. Okay, I thought it was important that we address this one. For the sake of my son asked me to talk about this, because his friend has been complaining of how the others are treated this way, and the others are treated this way. And I would pray, because sometimes it also comes when in the place of adoption, in the place of what we call it? We call it blended families, where mother is different, the mothers of the children are different, and the fathers of the children are different. And so, because you've accepted to come into this relationship, and you love this man or you love this woman, you get to open your heart as a parent to love these children as your own, and try to treat them equally and without bias, because you have accepted this woman, you have accepted this man, and so what is theirs is yours. And if they love the children and you love him, you got to love his children or her children equally. It might be hard, because naturally speaking, it might be hard, but you got to try. All right, you get to try and so that you avoid bringing up a generation of young people that are broken and are hurt. I just thought that you should know about this. Thanks, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.